Well, hello and thank you for joining me for another Alex on Tech and iTWire TV video. I'm joined today by Ross Hewitt. He is the B2B Education Manager for Logitech. We'll talk about the new Logi Bolt. Welcome to the program.
Thanks, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here and to have a chat with you.
Great to talk to you too. Now, I guess let's start right at the nuts and bolts of it all. What is the Logi Bolt and why is it necessary?
Logi Bolt, it's this little device that I've got in my hand, which is a Bluetooth low-energy USB dongle, and in essence, it provides high-performance, secure wireless, and also cross-platform compatibility. We aim to power a new suite of products that we think will revolutionise enterprise IT.
Now, Logitech already has a little dongle called the unifying dongle, which has been
Mhm.
around since I think 2007, that connects your wireless keyboards and mice. So, what makes the Bolt different? And I guess again, why is it necessary?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I suppose after listening to the challenges that our clients face, Logitech Bolt was engineered to conquer those challenges. So those being things like evolving compatibility requirements, congested wireless networks, and then the conversely, the increased security expectations that users have and the IT managers nowadays. And that is applicable either in the office or working from home or remotely, as you know I'm doing at the moment, and yourself as well.
Yeah. Now, security is obviously one of the big things. A lot of organizations don't allow Bluetooth devices, presumably because there's some sort of security risk. And if I'm just going to read from my phone here, because I've got quite a bit of notes that I've taken. But back in
Yeah.
2016, just to give a bit of explanation, there was a vulnerability called Mousejack that let people specifically who knew what they were doing to hack into the wireless communication stream of keyboards and mice, including those from Logitech, from Dell, HP, Microsoft, and others. So it wasn't. It was something that was across the industry, and now that was patched and by Logitech. And in 2019, there were some new vulnerabilities that were also patched, and I'll have the link if you've got some older Logitech equipment and you haven't patched those devices, which I never somehow this whole thing passed me by, and the Logitech devices I've never patched them, so I'm going to have to run these patches for PCs and Macs. So and in 2019 there was accusations by The Verge that some of the older devices were still on sale. So would it be fair to say that in 2021, aside from people buying secondhand Logitech keyboards and mice from Gumtree or whatever, that no new Logi branded keyboards and mice that have the older unifying thing are affected, and obviously these new Bolt things aren't affected? And should people download and install the firmware update if they haven't heard of it and haven't done it yet?
Yeah, I guess, Alex, downloading and installing the latest firmware is always a good housekeeping process in terms of information technology products. So, and that's especially applicable if users are unsure of their device status. With regard to our new devices, you're correct. None of them are affected by those kind of man-in-the-middle attacks that we saw in the past.
Yeah, but if you still go into an Officeworks and you buy a Logi branded, unified, an older device, or the standard device before this Bolt that has the current dongle, do you have to look for
Mhm.
this patch, or has it already been patched?
No, it's already been resolved. So,
Yeah,
we jumped on it straight away
yeah,
and got the patch put in
yeah,
place.
yeah. Well,
So
you
we've
did
got a
that in
huge.
2016. You did it in 2019, so
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
Yeah, and I guess that's the benefit of our scale and the research and development that we've got, is that this is our focus product. This is why we can get it on straight away.
Yeah, and with traditional Bluetooth keyboards and mice, I mean that are not using the Logi standard that connect to the Bluetooth on your computer. I mean, are those not safe in an enterprise context? And would there be patches that you could get for that, or you really the reason why companies have blocked Bluetooth is because you need to have a standard like Bolt?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why we developed Bolt, so that we have it gives users and IT managers that peace of mind that you've got a technology that is secure. In terms of other products, I don't know. I mean, there's different iterations of the
Yeah.
Bluetooth standard and which level that it fits in with. But certainly from a Logitech point of view, we're invested in doing business with businesses, and that's why we've released this product now,
Yeah.
so that in enterprise IT, everyone can be confident that the devices are secure and safe.
Yeah, and in the press release, it talks about Bluetooth 5 having a Mode 1 Level 4 grade secure connection. So that's something you take
Mhm.
advantage of, and it's part of your solution.
Yeah, I mean, that level of security is sort of, we can talk about the elliptical curve and half a diamond and AES, encryption and all those kind of funky things in the background. But, for the user, it means that it's secure. So I don't know, maybe if you're sitting in your car and you try and fiddle with your Bluetooth, you see so many different names about you and all the rest. And if you pair with somebody, it'll ask you for a pairing code. Now with Bolt, we don't need that pairing code to be inputted anymore. So we reduce the sort of tasks that IT managers need to do to pair things. And it just creates that communication between the device and the peripheral to make sure that it's as secure as possible. People don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, and it also enables people to buy Logi products with confidence. The Bolt branded ones, to know that it's properly secure for the enterprise environment, which is in these times 2020 and 2021 of all these extra hacks and all sorts of crazy stuff. We even hear about the Razer branded keyboards having dongles that when you plug it in, it enabled some sort of administration mode. So I mean, the security issues everywhere, and I guess it's a very good time to be introducing this new standard.
Yeah, I mean, look, look at the state of the world today. We're all, a lot of us are working from home, and this hybrid workforce, the different ways of doing things, and what do hackers look for? They look at the most simple way of getting into your device, whether it's, plugging in an extra dongle or, with that man in the middle attack that you were referring to before, they had to be at least 100 meters close or away. So, you try and mitigate those security issues, and people, businesses will spend millions and millions securing their software and everything else. And you've got to look at these little endpoints that, okay, where's the closest point of pain? And this might be it. But, with Bluetooth and the Bolt product, we mitigate all of those issues in totality. So people can be safe and happy that they've got the right product there.
Sure. Now, you also mentioned that it reduces wireless congestion. So what's the short version of how it does that?
Yeah, so in layman's terms, like, I don't know, Alex, if you're a gym goer, but if you go to the gym, you've got your Bluetooth headpiece on and you're walking around doing your thing, and then the music or the podcast cuts out. That's just because Bluetooth is such successful technology that it creates a very noisy environment in terms of the wireless signals going back and forward. So what we've done at Logitech with the Bolt product is we've kind of created a clear channel, I suppose, if we could put an analogy that way. So it cuts straight through all of that noise, and it uses the Bluetooth low energy standard to make sure that communication is a much more secure and high level one.
Sure. Yeah, I certainly have heard that jittering sound where your Bluetooth is suddenly not in, you have to sort of unpair, repair, disconnect, reconnect. It's a bit of a pain. So if you can avoid that madness, that's a good thing, especially in offices, which I guess we're not all flocking back to at the moment, but in offices you have, it's not like in apartment buildings, you turn on the Wi-Fi, you see a million Wi-Fi networks, a million Bluetooth things. So anything that can cut through that, like a hot knife through butter, is good.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, I like that analogy, the hot knife through butter. We might use that, but yeah, that's certainly what Bolt does at the end of the day.
Now, what are the new Logi Bolt devices? What will they retail at? When and where are they available? And is this just the start of a new range that will replace the unifying, or will both of those, the standard unifying devices and the new Bolt devices, exist in unison?
Yeah, so the devices will exist in unison. If you look at the actual Bolt USB dongle itself, it's $24.95, and you can go to your preferred resellers and source this little bit of equipment. In conjunction with this, we've got 6 different products that are being released straight away, and obviously over time we'll release more, but very much our MX, which is our executive enterprise level series of devices. So there's 4 within that. There's the keys combo, which is sort of this mouse that I'm using in our keyboard at the moment that'll do that. And we've also got some of our ergonomic products that fit within that as well. So I think ergonomics and working from home is sort of part and parcel. Yeah, that's right, exactly. And so K860, M575, if you want some product codes, will be released as well.
Sure. And the new Bolt standard works with the new MX series. It doesn't work with the older ones. You can't just buy the dongle by itself. Yeah, which
that's right, exactly.
Now, also Logitech shared some stats on how using a mouse is more productive than a trackpad. Although personally, I'm a huge trackpad fan. But every now and then I go to somebody's house and I help them, and they've got a mouse there, and you just start using it again. It's very natural. But I love my trackpad. And but even so, one of those stats, and one of the stats that Logi it uncovered in 2020 over working from home regarding ergonomic tech that we just spoke about, and more.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I'm really interested in the fact that you like trackpads over mice. Is there a specific, tactile feel that you prefer, or what's the situation there?
You've got the keyboard. The mouse is just underneath. I mean, the trackpad is just underneath the keyboard. I mean, I'm a Mac user, and so for years, the Mac trackpads were vastly more precise than Windows trackpads. Now, over the past 3 or 4 years, Windows trackpads have reached that level of precision. But, you could always see that a Windows trackpad was never as good as a Mac one, and using a mouse was very cool. I mean, I started obviously using mice, and I mean I even have a computer. I've got an old Toshiba here that I was showing the other day, and it's got this little trackpad that would plug into the side. This was the mouse back then when So and I've used I've had those track the ball track, whatever they're called, I forget what they're called now, but I've used various different devices, and I've seen the one that sort of sits vertically upwards, and you hold it like this. And my next door neighbor's got a Logitech device. Yeah, it's one. I think the MX, one of the new MX Bolt series, has that particular vertical looking mouse. It's very cool. So I've just always used trackpads, and I bought one of the Apple trackpads so I could use it with the iPad. I was disappointed you cannot use the trackpad with the iPhone, only the iPad. You've got to use a mouse. It's a bit strange. They don't want you using the trackpad with an iPhone, which I mean, the damn thing's bigger than a bloody iPhone, so they probably don't want you carrying it or anything.
That's right.
But personally, I've just always, it's one less thing, it's less space, it's there, but it's horses for courses. I know plenty of people prefer the mouse, and your stats show that plenty of people prefer the mouse too. So what were some of those stats? I'll have it in the article that accompanies this video, but just if you can reel a few off.
It's interesting. I asked that because, we did a study back in 2019 that found that people are 50% more productive with a mouse as compared to a trackpad. So, maybe you've got your skills on the trackpad and you've mitigated that, but that was what I studied.
Well, I use a lot of swipes. I swipe between desktops. I've got a thing called BTT, Better Touch Tool, on the Mac. Lets you use 3 things to swipe between open tabs. On a Mac, you can swipe up, swipe down, go like this, go like that. So you can do, I mean, Microsoft copied some of those things, but you could really control. It was sort of giving you almost a touch screen for your Mac without having a touch screen, and it was much more tactile. With the mouse, you could only just click on things, and although yes, you had different buttons. Personally, I just as soon as the trackpad became available, I'm using that. But yes, I know a lot of people are huge fans of the mouse.
Yeah, I suppose, you're a tech guru, so you go on to that nth degree. And we were talking about, the different usage of your iPhone before and bits and pieces. So, but, for the layman, it's picking up a device, it's clicking, it's going. They don't want to think about it. And mice, I've grown up with mice all through my life, from changing that little ball and cleaning all the lint off
cleaning
it,
the gunk off,
again.
You go to friends' houses and you show them, and they would, they have no idea, But anyway.
No, my children pick up my mice, and I try to explain that there used to be a ball in it, and they're going, "Dad, what is going on there? Just I can use it on glass. It doesn't matter." And I'm going,
well, the original ones you couldn't use it on glass as well. The original, ones using a laser, and then they came out with ones where you could, and it's come a long way.
It has, and all the challenges that we used to face, growing up with technology, they just go, well, that doesn't even exist in my world. So
it's like cassettes, 1 hour of music on a cassette, and you had to turn it over. Like, you see those videos on YouTube with the kids looking at that going, what is this? How did you guys live?
Exactly. Yeah, I know. I showed them my mini disc the other day, and they're kind of like, we have no idea. Like, the mini disc, that doesn't make any sense.
I've got hundreds of those mini discs, and they're just they're just museum pieces now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny the way it goes. But I suppose coming back to your stats, people we found were 50% more productive with a mouse as composed to a trackpad, 30% faster with the mouse as composed to a trackpad, compared to a trackpad, sorry. And in 2020, so we conducted another research project into working from home, that being very timely and applicable. We found that about 33% of the people who work from home feel pain and discomfort in their shoulders. 38% have got pain in their necks, and 41% have got pain and discomfort in their backs. And also, people who are new to working from home were 30% more responsible for reporting these kind of problems and injuries. So that's why we look at those ergonomic products with the release of Bolt as well, to mitigate those kind of issues. So again, using a trackpad might be causing that. If you've worked around it, you've worked around it. But for people who are new from working from home, we certainly have that product, which makes it a lot easier and a lot better on your body to sit there during the day and work from your environment.
Now, you do say it works with Windows and Mac OS and Chrome and Linux and iPad and iOS. I'm assuming on tablets and phones that you're going to need some sort of a USB-C or Lightning to USB-A adapter. But that also makes me think, I mean, even you were holding it up there, it's a USB-A dongle. Do you have any USB-C versions, or do you have to have an adapter?
No, that'll be an adapter at the moment, and I suppose the connectivity way of the world is there's so many different ways of connecting. We want to put in place USB-A is quite a standard.
I mean, I'm assuming at some point it'll eventually go to USB-C, but I'm just wondering, do you think any manufacturers will be bold to put a Bolt receiver directly in to their smartphone, tablet, computer, so you don't have to buy it because it's just built in?
Yeah, well, if I could get that, that would be a coup. That would be, the best sales process in the world ever. But look, I think honestly, it's still going to be a matter of user choice as to what peripherals that they're going to get. We'd love them to buy Logitech. We think we have the technology, the research, the investment there, and also the company philosophy to support users nowadays. But yeah, in terms of manufacturers, they do their thing, and we work in conjunction with them. Like the smart connector on the Apple tablet and all the rest of that. We do develop products which will work specifically, but at the end of the day, yeah, I don't think that anybody's going to build it in, but it would be nice.
Any chance you're going to send a free one to Usain Bolt or Andrew Bolt and try and do some marketing deal?
Yeah, Usain or Andrew, but I love the analogy with the names as well. I'm an ex-sprinter and I'm a triathlete, so I'd love for Usain Bolt to have a marketing deal with us, and I could take him and he could do the running leg on my triathlons, and I'd be done sitting back and watching him fly through. But the only problem with Usain is he's a Manchester United fan and I'm a Liverpool fan, so he's on the wrong side of the Reds. So damn. I don't know if that's going to fly. But I do like the play on the words there with the names. But Logitech has amazing partnerships already with McLaren and the Olympian Alison Felix, amongst others. So so we've got those relationships in place. But yeah, I'd love for those guys to come across and support us as well.
And I guess if in the because I've been to the F1 events, with the Cronus and some other people, and they take you into the pits, and you can go in there, and they've got all these banks of computers everywhere. And so I guess McLaren, you should be sending them all, the wireless keyboard and mouse with the Bolt, so that, because spying in F1's a big thing, right? And I'm sure that they've locked things down tight, but they could lock it down even tighter with this. And you never know, they might say, yeah, send it to us. So
yeah, that's right. No, when I started back in 1999, the company I was with them had a lot of relationships with the IT teams, and I would blindly call them and say, hey, g'day, how it's going? And they would lock it down. There was no conversations. Even though we were partners with them, nothing was going to happen. But, using the Bolt products, they would be completely secure in their pits. And it's, a good analogy as well is that one bit of information leaks out of their connection between their devices, and the team next door takes that bit of information, and that can change. And that's $1 billion business. It's hundreds of $1 millions just for one little finite change. So utilizing Bolt technology really secures. And I think within enterprise IT, that's what we're doing, is we're securing that intellectual property by securing the peripherals and the device that people interface with. So it's it's essential at the end of the day.
I can see that you've let the light come in. You've got the sun shining in. That's okay.
The sun's shining on me now, so it's beautiful. Not used to that down in Melbourne.
In Melbourne, yeah. So I'd like to finish off with a few questions, just to change the topic a little bit. What's your memory of your first computer, and what's the memory of your first wireless keyboard or mouse?
My first computer, I think, was an old Atari. I just remember getting a cassette tape, plugging it in and playing a flying game where basically you moved up and down the jet, and that was as bad as exciting as it got. And it took a couple of minutes to load, and then when you went off from there. And then first wireless keyboard and mouse would have probably been at university, to be honest with you. I grew up in some sort of third world countries, so technology wasn't really at the foreplay at that time. And then got to England, went to university, and all the stuff was there. So I think that was the start of the wireless keyboard and mouse adventure. But I do remember things like a mouse pad or tracker being controlled by your feet. I don't know if you ever saw that product where you'd sit at the desk and you'd move your feet around it and move the cursor around and you'd be typing away. I don't think that product took off. So it's interesting to see how things went.
And what's the short version of your history in the world of tech?
Yeah, so look, I started in 1999 with integrators in Europe, and I worked for an amazing company, Telindus, which is a pan-European company back then. And, we did some awesome things. We put video across networks. We put the first video streams in the London Underground. So I'd had some really good opportunities, work, learning IT. And then I came back to Australia. I'd lived here when I was little and worked with a load of really good partners who are focused on education and then telco as well. And then, recently this opportunity came up with Logitech, and I was talking to the guys at Logitech, and I looked around my desk and I had, UE boom speakers, and I had my Logitech keyboard and mouse. And at that time, it was sort of a 5-year-old device that I just relied on. It always worked. And, the conversation from them was, what do you know about Logitech? And I gave those examples, and I went to myself, well, I want to work with a company that has a vision to help people. And I think you've got that Father's Day note of, what did your father help you with, and some of the visions that they're talking about. And my dad said to me, I don't care what you do, but I want you to do something that benefits people. And I think, that's in my career, that's an ethos that I've tried to keep with. And that's where I've stayed with Logitech. And I really believe that that's something that we do here at Logitech, is help people at the end of the day.
Yeah. And for those wondering, I've got a series of articles at iTWire about Father's Day. We had similar things about Mother's Day. And we had articles about International Women's Day, and in November we'll have articles about International Men's Day as well, celebrating leaders and entrepreneurs in tech. But I always like to also ask, how do you think Logitech will evolve over the next couple of years? And what do you think the IT industry and even the pointing device market will be like in 2030? Will we be using our brains? You see those brain experiments where they're moving things on screen with brainwaves, for people with usually with injuries and things like that. But there's no reason why some of that stuff, you would put the projector clicker business out of market if you could think, but then you'd probably have to temper your thoughts because you might click too far. You have to think back. Yeah. But what do you think about the next couple of years and then 2030?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think, as human beings, we always like those tactile interfaces. And, it was the pendulum was mightier than the sword. I think the mouse click is now the mightiest at the end of the day. You see, and I feel for these people who've clicked and then millions of dollars have gone into the wrong bank account or whatever else they've done. But I think, advancing to that level where you blink your eyes and it's the mouse click is probably a step too far. I think we're always going to be wanting some kind of tactile interface to go. And there's something nice about making that click it's like making that decision of hitting the button and going, okay. And, if you get frustrated with some things, you're banging away on your keyboard as well. And, it's the way that it goes. And you can always delete that email and go back. But, right. In terms of what we're doing at Logitech, it's constant discussions with our users. It's constant empowering of their visions. We're working loads with sort of, the streamers and the content creators and our new microphones and all the rest of those kind of products. So that link between us and the user is essential. And I think, as users are driving media and the way that things are being communicated, then we'll work in conjunction with them and just see how the world evolves. So that would be kind of the vision. I think in terms of the business, fortunately, and whether this is assumption or not, that most people know of Logitech or a Logitech product. If I speak to people, I go, oh, hey, I'm working with Logitech, and they go, oh, yeah, I know this for this reason. But what we're doing as a team is we're putting a mammoth effort into the global sort of business to business and education side of things. We haven't really focused on that. While it's been a peripheral, this is really a focus for people like me to provide support to businesses. And Bolt's a really exciting iteration of that, which exemplifies our focus on enterprise business solutions. So, if we look at our, CEO Bracken, he sort of puts through with the business a vision, and that vision is to design new possibilities that extend human capability. And our mission, is to help all people pursue their passions by designing those experiences that everyone can create things, everyone can achieve, and everyone can enjoy more through a technology that enables them to interface with the things that they do. So, so that's us, and it's really exciting times. And I see the impact on my children of the technology and the peripherals that are around, just making it easier for them to do schooling and taking away all the external distractions and allowing them to focus. And I think they can then get their vision through, and they can make their stories, and they don't have to think about changing the mouse ball or anything like that. They can focus on what they need to do. So for me, it's a real pleasure to see how our product helps people.
Cool. My second last question is to ask if you can please share the best advice you've ever received to help you get where you are today.
Look, the best advice I ever received was to actually be an active listener and not so much a talker. So, I think, if you can listen to somebody, if you can engage with them, if you can, align yourself, then you can understand them better. And you always learn from understanding people. So I think, and it's a bit of simple advice is just, basically shut up and listen for a second and really hear what somebody's saying. And that's, I lived in 6 different countries growing up, and, often you have cultural differences, but if you take the time to listen to somebody, then you'll really understand where they're coming from. And again, that's what we do with our customers, and that vision aligns with my life. So it's fantastic. That's a really good question. I really enjoyed that one. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. And I've also heard people say that, you actually have to be listening, not formulating your comment on what they said a few sentences ago, and sort of be thinking about that, and then miss everything that they said because you weren't focusing on what it is they were saying.
Yeah, that's right. I think anyone who's had a relationship with anybody else is, okay, if you actually listen rather than answering what you want to answer, then it's going to work out much better at the end of the day. Yeah. So, again, liaising with my kids, if I'm actually listening to what they're saying to me, then I start to understand it. And that can be a verbal or, I've got a baby, she's 7 months, and she gives me the non-verbal clues. And, okay, I'm listening to you, you're not happy at the moment, or you are really happy. Okay, let's take advantage of that. So so that's good.
And just on that note, I've heard of people who train their babies in sign language because they can learn to sign and tell you stuff when they're still non-verbal. So I'd love to try that. If I ever have kids, that'd be something worth to try.
We're going through that process with Philippa at the moment of doing sign language, and she's starting to get it. And it's just simple things, but just having that communication, it takes away a lot of the frustration. You go, okay, I know you're communicating with me, you know what I'm saying. Okay, let's work together. So it's good. It's an interesting way of going about things.
So what's your final message to iTWire viewers and readers, and to your current and future customers and partners?
Yeah, I think, it's just to convey that, Logitech, we're here to support you. We've got a new team in Australia, the business to business and education team. We're available to you. We're here to help at the end of the day. And we do have fantastic products. So, we look forward to you using it and look forward to your feedback about it. And Bolt, it's a really exciting, secure way of doing things. And we think that's developing with this new hybrid way of working. So we look forward to hearing people's feedback and enjoying them working with our products.
Well, Ross Hewitt, B2B Education Manager at Logitech, thank you so much for your time, and I hope we can get to talk again in the future.
Alex, it was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.